Most forecasts tell you what your sign does this month. This one shows you the deeper energies actually driving September and exactly how they land in your chart. So take a breath with me. August asks so much of you. 2 eclipses, a total solar eclipse at 20 degrees of Leo and a lunar eclipse at 5 degrees of Pisces. Cracked open doors you didn't even know were locked. That was the storm. This is the quiet room you finally step into. Welcome to September 2026 and welcome back to Ivy Astrology. If you're new here, subscribe and settle in with me. There are no eclipses this month. The next one doesn't arrive until February. So, for the first time in a while, the sky isn't happening to you, it's handling you the tools. This is the integration month, the season you tend, the seeds those eclipses planted. And underneath it all, a slow golden thread, Jupiter abundance itself, climbing back through Leo toward that eclipse degree. It recrosses on October 6th, pouring luck into everything you've already started. Stay with me for the 5 headlines and the deeper mechanics. Then jump to your sign where I'll show you exactly how it all lands. So let's jump straight into the 5 headline stories of September that I will present during this video and then sign by sign. And then we'll go into the background energies. And then I will have, and those will also be covered sign by sign as well. Everything, all sign by signs at the end of this video. So, the first headline story of September is that September is the integration month. Because September is when what August cracked open finally becomes something you can see and feel. Jupiter now moves from 13 degrees Leo, climbing throughout the month to 19 degrees Leo. Toward that 20-degree Leo point where August's eclipse, solar eclipse, landed. That eclipse planted an invisible seed in your Leo house. Now, Jupiter, the planet of abundance, luck, and growth, pours all of that into the Leo area of your chart, making it tangible. This is the eclipse integrating. What was cracked open, swelling visibly before Jupiter reaches its 20 degrees eclipse point, which will happen on October 6th. It will be the first recrossing. Mirror eclipse at 5 degrees Pisces is retouched as Uranus stations retrograde at 5 degrees Gemini on September 11th. Now, the second headline story of September is that fire returns to Leo. Well, the month opens with friction. On September 1st, Mars at 13 degrees Cancer squares Saturn at 13 degrees Aries. The push of desire meeting the wall of what's realistic. Don't force it. Find the disciplined move instead. Then, on September 28th, Mars strides into Leo, where it begins reigniting the 20 degrees Leo eclipse degree. And that same day, the Sun trines Uranus for a spark of welcome surprise. So after a slow start, your courage comes roaring back. And now, the third headline story of September is the Venus who's starting to dive deep, because on September 10th, Venus enters Scorpio. September 10th, September 11th, depending on the time zone. So it enters Scorpio as Mercury slips into romantic and diplomatic Libra, pulling your heart out of the shallows into the deeper, more honest water. Intimacy, loyalty, what you truly value. And then on September 15th, Venus at 3 degrees, almost 3 degrees Scorpio now, squares Pluto at 3 degrees Aquarius. This is a moment that can stir intensity, jealousy, or a powerful truth about a relationship or your worth. Let it reveal, not consume. What surfaces here is information, not faith. Now, the fourth headline story of September is that the Disruptor Pauses. So, on September 11th is a pivot point. We have a new moon at 18 degrees of Virgo, almost 19 degrees. That hands you a clean, practical page to plan intentions around health, work, and daily order. And on the same day, Uranus stations retrograde at 5 degrees Gemini. The great disruptor pauses and turns inward. So the external shakeups of recent months quiet down and the revolution moves inside you. It's a rare window to reorganize your life with calm, methodical intent. And the fifth headline story of September is the rebalancing. So what happens on September 22nd? The Sun enters Libra. 22nd, 23rd, depending on your time zone. So it enters Libra, the Sun enters Libra as the autumn equinox, light and dark in perfect balance, an invitation to rebalance your own life. On September 16th, so 1 week before, a generational Neptune sextile Pluto quietly threads deep dreams into transformation. Now, this sextile has been we started feeling it and has been very close for months now, and it will continue months from now. But this is the exact point when these two planets are exact. Then on September 26th, a dreamy full moon at 3 degrees, almost 4 degrees Aries, conjunct Neptune, also at 3 degrees Aries, opposes the Libra Sun, while the Sun Pluto trine is still active. This is a soft spiritual culmination that asks you to trust your intuition over ego. Close the month on September 30th as Mercury enters Scorpio, turning your thoughts toward depth and truth. But how does September land for you? Every one of these 5 stories drops into a different room of your chart. And for one lucky sign, Jupiter is relighting the August eclipse right on their own doorstep. So stay tuned with me. I'm going to go at the end of this presentation. I'm going to go through the stories of September, sign by sign for your sun, moon, or rising sign. And so you will see exactly which houses light up for you, where the luck pours in for you, and where September comes knocking on your eclipse again. I will go through now the background energies of September because they are also very important. And then we will go through it sign by sign. Now, there are a couple of background energies that I'm going to refer to very quickly. One is we have a retrograde weather, so I'm going to go through that. I'm going to go through the Neptune-Pluto sextile, Jupiter approach to the eclipse degree, and the Cardinal fixed cluster that we have this month, as well as the new moon in Virgo. I'll go through that during my presentation. So let's go now into the background energies of September. All right, so in the background of September, we are all resting or sitting on a retrograde weather or witnessing a retrograde weather. On September 11th, Uranus slows down and turns retrograde at 5 degrees Gemini, joining Saturn and Neptune in Aries and Pluto in Aquarius, all already moving backward. With 4 outer planets in review mode, a reflective undercurrent settles beneath the month. A season for revisiting, refining, and letting old questions resurface rather than forcing brand new starts. Yet, Mercury stays direct the entire way through, so your thinking, your plans, and your everyday conversations keep their forward momentum. Slow down within, carry on without. The second background energy of September is the Neptune-Pluto sextile forming direct, or being direct, because it has formed and it's been in sextile for a while now, and it will continue throughout the couple of months. But around September 16th, Neptune is at 3 degrees Aries and reaches toward Pluto at 3 degrees Aquarius, the exact at the minute now. This is a rare generational sextile. Collective dreaming, meeting, deep transformative power. Both planets are freshly settled into new signs, so this is less a single day than a doorway opening for a whole era. You may feel it not as an event, but as a slow tide beneath ordinary life. A quiet sense that imagination and genuine change are learning gently to move together beneath everything personal. The third background energy of September, and I'm going to mention that actually in the September event as well, but it is throughout September. So it's the Jupiter's approach to the eclipse degree. All month, Jupiter climbs from 13 degrees 12 to 13 degrees at the beginning of the month toward 19 degrees Leo, moving steadily up to the 20-degree Leo of the recent solar eclipse, which it first crosses or recrosses then again on October 6th. So think of this as the eclipse seed's first real watering. The earliest, most lasting nourishment for whatever that eclipse planted in you. Whatever Leo touches your life, or wherever it touches your life, a story began months ago, starts to warm and brighten again. The sign-by-sign guidance that follows shows how this growth reaches each of you. So Jupiter, the great benefic, climbing from 13 to 19 degrees. This would be my third or the third background energy of September. Now, let's go and see. Let's check the Cardinal fixed cluster. This is another background energy of September that I want to go through with you. Now, notice how tightly the slow planets are gathered now. Neptune at almost 3 degrees Aries, Pluto at 3 degrees Aries, Uranus at 5 degrees Gemini, all bunched between roughly 3 and 6 degrees. One by one, the swift movers strike this cluster. The Virgo new moon, Venus square Pluto, the Aries full moon lighting up Neptune, and the sun's warm trines, they are all sparking those sensitive degrees in turn. The event by event, sign by sign guide as follows in this video, and I will show you how each spark lands for you. But basically, on September 11th, Sun and Moon meet at 18, almost 19 degrees Virgo. A meticulous, healing dark moon that hands you a clean page on a sharp pencil. It is perfect for repairing, refining, and beginning something small but real. It leans awkwardly towards the great Cardinal cluster gathering near 1 to 3 degrees. So Neptune and Saturn in Aries and Pluto in Aquarius. So the seed you plant now must survive a reality check. Sort what actually serves you, release the rest, and let devotion, not perfectionism, do the work. All right, then we will go through all of this sign by sign, and I will explain to you what happens here every time we have the new moon, Venus square Pluto, the full moon that meets Neptune in Aries, and the sun trine Pluto and Uranus. We'll go through that sign by sign. Okay, so one final note. You will have timestamps below, so you can go directly to your sign, but listen to your rising sign first. That would be the most accurate. Then you can listen into your sun sign and then your moon sign as well. These are additional layers for your interpretation that really, really are important and make a difference. I will walk you now through in the video through the month's 5 headline stories, through your own houses and flags where September retouches the August eclipse degrees. So the Jupiter and Mars relighting the 20 Leo solar eclipse in your Leo house, Uranus resquaring at 5 degrees Pisces lunar eclipse. And then I will walk through and then I'll do the same for the background energies of September so that you also understand what sits beneath all these energies in September. Okay, so let's go through it now, sign by sign. September asks nothing new of you, Aries. It asks you to tend. The eclipse seed in your 5th house of creativity and romance quietly grows all month, while your 1st house of self lights up under the full moon. So let's have a look at the integration month for you, this integration. Jupiter now stands at 13 to 19 degrees Leo, climbing all month through your 5th house of creativity, romance, and children. The very degree zone that held August's solar eclipse at 20 degree Leo. What was once an invisible seed planted in the dark of that eclipse, becomes something you can finally see and touch. Jupiter, planet of abundance, luck, and growth, pours its blessing into this house of joy, a creative project, a love, perhaps a child. This is the integration. September grows and gathers what August cracked open. Jupiter reaches the exact 20-degree eclipse point on October 6th. That will be its first crossing of this degree. So, or recrossing from an eclipse point perspective. So this month is the visible swelling before the golden October peak. So what can this bring to you? Jupiter may send a new romance or a creative commission or joyful news of a child, a flirtation that ripens into something real, a project that finds its patron. This is Jupiter, a slow build, swelling towards its peak October 6th and into 2027. It's not a spark that fades. Now, let's have a look at the fire that returns to Leo, because on September 1st, Mars is at 13 degrees Cancer in your fourth house of home and family, and it squares Saturn at 13 degrees Aries in your first house of self. This is a tug between duty at home and your own needs. Hold steady. It passes. Because on September 28th, Mars enters your fifth house, matching toward that 20-degree Leo eclipse degree to reignite the seed Jupiter has been feeding. Drive and desire come roaring back to your creative life. So this can bring you, for example, in early September, a clash at home, a family demand colliding with your own drive, may leave you feeling blocked by duty, but that friction burns off in days. Then on 28th, Mars floods your creative romantic house with fire, a surge of momentum that you will carry into October. Now, let's have a look at where Venus dives deep for you. Venus is your seventh house of partnership early in the month, softening your closest bonds. On September 10th, she plunges into your eighth house of shared resources, intimacy, and deep change. Then, on September 15th, it squares Pluto at 3 degrees Aquarius in your 11th house of friends and community. Desire turns intense. Money or a merged commitment asks for honesty, and a friendship may pull against an intimacy. Choose truth over comfort. What can this bring to you? Well, around September 15th, a charged exchange about money, intimacy, or a shared debt. A friend wanting more than you can give. Flares for a day or two, then passes. But what it reveals about your worth and power can lastingly reshape the bond if you name the truth. And then again, let's have a look at our disrupted that pauses this month. On September 11th, a new moon at 18 degrees Virgo lights your sixth house of work, health, and daily routine. This is a clean, fresh start for your habits and workload. The same day, Uranus stations retrograde at 5 degrees Gemini in your third house of the mind and communication, re-squaring the 5 degrees Pisces lunar eclipse in your 12th house of rest and the inner world. So a restless thought or unfinished conversation from August resurfaces around this time. Let it speak, then let it settle. So what can this bring to you? So the September 11th new moon seeds a fresh work routine or health regimen, a new job, a cleaner schedule, a body you finally tend. And that seed grows for 6 months. Meanwhile, Uranus turns retrograde, jolting your words and thoughts, resurfacing the same restlessness question until February 2027. And then finally, we can see some rebalancing this month as well. Why? The sun enters your 7th house of partnership on September 22nd, 23rd. And then, so that is when relationship take center stage again. Then on September 26th, we have a full moon at 3 degrees Aries, almost 4 degrees. That meets Neptune at almost 4 degrees as well in Aries, in your first house of self, opposite the Libra sun. This is a tender, dreamy peak asking you or asking who you are within your closest bonds. The same sun trines Pluto in your 11th house and Uranus in your 3rd house. This is empowerment and breakthroughs that flow easily toward you. Balance the self with the other. What can this bring to you? When the sun enters your partnership house. So it will be opening a month-long focus on a relationship. The September 26th full moon, blurred by Neptune, brings a you versus us matter to a head. It peaks, then releases. Brief days let you say yes to a friend or a message, but walk through fast. So, in one line for you, Aries, the eclipses lit the match. September is where you cup your hands and let the flame glow. So, return to the creative or romantic thing that August started and give it one real undistracted hour this week. And let's see what happens. With no eclipses until February 2027, September is your integration month, dear Taurus, and the tending happens closest to home. Your 4th house of family and your 5th house of creativity hold the season's brightest light. First of all month, the generous Jupiter, planet of abundance, luck, and growth, climbs from 13 degrees to 19 degrees Leo through your 4th house of home, family, and roots, walking straight toward the 20 Leo point where August's solar eclipse landed. What was an invisible seed buried in your foundations is now visible. Something you can finally see, touch, and feel. This is the integration. September grows and gathers up everything August cracked open, pouring abundance and luck into your home, your family, your deepest sense of belonging. Jupiter first recrosses that exact eclipse degree on August 6th. So this month is the visible swelling before that October peak. So what it could bring to you, Jupiter may send a move, a renovation, a returning relative, or a family windfall that reroutes you, perhaps the home you have quietly wanted. Because this is Jupiter in your fourth house, it does not arrive complete. It grows over months, ripening towards its first peak October 6th and on into 2027. Now, on September 1st, Mars at 13 degrees Cancer, your third house of mind and communication, squares Saturn at 13 degrees Aries. This is your 12th house of rest and retreat. This is a tug between speaking your mind and needing to go quiet. So honor both. Because then on September 28th, Mars enters your fourth house of Leo, reigniting that 20-degree Leo solar eclipse seed with a real drive. The energy to build at home returns with force. So around September 1st, a message, a sibling, or a piece of writing hits a wall. Mars in your third squares Saturn in your 12th. And your words feel blocked, your rest disturbed. That friction is sharp but brief. It's gone in days. Because on September 28th, Mars floods your home zone with drive that carries momentum into October. Okay, now let's have a look at where Venus dives deep for you. Venus is your sixth house of work and health in Libra early on. But then it plunges into your seventh house of partnership, your Scorpio house, on September the 10th. This is when it actually enters. And at that point, September 10th, September 11th. But by September 15th, she squares Pluto at 3 degrees Aquarius in your 10th house of career and reputation. This is desire that runs deep and power dynamics surface between a close relationship and your public role. Feel it fully. Don't force it. So let's see, what can Venus bring to you in September? Venus in your seventh house may bring a partner, a client, or someone close into sudden focus around September 15th, when a square to Pluto exposes a power imbalance or a buried desire. The moment itself, it's a passing flare of a day or two, but the truth it reveals about worth and control can be lasting if you act. And then let's have a look at our disruptor that pauses this month, September 11th. First, we have a new moon at 1890 degrees Virgo in your fifth house of creativity, romance, and children. This is a fresh, tender start. The same day, Uranus stations retrograde at 5 degrees Gemini in your second house of money and self-worth, re-squaring August's lunar eclipse at 5 degrees Pisces in your 11th house of friends and community. So questions about income and which friendships truly fund your future rise again for review. What it could bring. September 11th, The September 11th new moon in your 5th may spark a creative project or news about a child. A genuine fresh start seeded to unfold over 6 months. Meanwhile, Uranus retrograde keeps jolting your income and self-worth, resurfacing the same money versus friendship question and again until February 2027. But let's have a look at the rebalancing flavor of this month, because the sun enters your 6th house of, let's see, 6th house, Libra, here at the September 22nd, 23rd equinox, calling you back to daily rhythm and health. On September 26th, a full moon, let's have a look at September 26th, a full moon at 3 degrees, almost 4 degrees Aries, conjunct Neptune at almost 4 degrees Aries. Sorry, this is Neptune at 3 degrees Aries. It culminates in this 12th house of yours. It's the house of rest. It is opposite the 6th house, the sun here, with the sun here, a soft, dreamy release. So the sun then trines Pluto in your 10th house and Uranus in your 2nd house from September 28th. Uranus. So flowing empowerment in your career and quiet breakthroughs in your income. So let's see. The sun into your 6th house opens a month of resetting work and daily rhythm. A new routine it can bring the September 26th Aries full moon with Neptune floods your fatigue, forcing a release that peaks, then passes. And brief 1-2 day sun trines crack open career and money doors that you must walk through fast. So in one line, Taurus, the eclipses lit the match at home. September is when you gently feed the flame. So make one concrete investment in your living space or family this month, however small. It will pay off. September is your integration month. Jupiter swells your 3rd house of mind and communication, while Uranus pauses in your 1st house of self. Growth you can see and change you can feel in your own skin, Gemini. So, all month, Jupiter, abundance, luck, and growth, climbs from 13 degrees to 19 degrees Leo through your 3rd house of the mind, communication, and siblings, closing in on the 20-degree point where August solar eclipse landed. What was an invisible seed planted in the dark is now visible. Something you can see, hear, and feel. Jupiter pours abundance and luck straight into that Leo house, integrating what the eclipse cracked open. A conversation, a course, a piece of writing that swells into the tangible. And it reaches the exact 20-degree eclipse on October 6th. That will be the first crossing of Jupiter and recrossing of the degree of the eclipse. So September is the glorious swelling before the peak. So what can in this integration month bring for you? Jupiter may send a course, a podcast invite, a writing gig, or a sibling reaching out with a shared venture into your third house of mind and voice. Say yes early. This is a slow build, a ripening over months toward October 6th and beyond. It is not a passing spark. Now, fire returns to Leo. On September 1st, Mars at 13 degrees Cancer. Let's have a look. September 1st. Your second house of money and self-worth squares Saturn at 13 degrees Aries in your 11th house of friends and community. This is a tug between what you can afford and what your circle expects. Then, on September 28th, Mars strides into Leo. September 28th. Now this is the moment Mars it's reigniting or starting to reignite that very 20-degree eclipse seed. So drive and voice come roaring back to your words. What this fire energy into Leo can bring to you, Gemini. Around September 1st, a bill or a friend's group plan may collide with your income, forcing a hard choice between spending on belonging and protecting your worth. Brief friction, gone within days, because on September 28th, Mars fires up your words and ideas. A surge of drive that carries momentum into October. Then let's have a look where Venus dives deep this month for you. Having eased your fifth house of romance and creativity early on, Venus slips into Scorpio, your sixth house of work, health, and daily routine. This happens on September 10th, September 11th. And then it squares Pluto at 3 degrees Aquarius, your ninth house of study and belief, on September 15th. Desire meets power here, a work obsession, a health resolve, or a hard truth about what you believe. So what it could bring around September 15th, a moment at work or in your daily routine, a colleague's control, a wellness truth, an undervalued effort may suddenly expose what you really want and what you are worth. The flare passes in a day or two, but act on what it reveals and the change can last. And let's have a look at our disturber that pauses this September on September 11th. A new moon at 18 degrees in your fourth house of Virgo, of home and family and roots. This is a tender, fresh start under your own roof. The same day, Uranus stations retrograde at 5 degrees Gemini in your first house of self, resquaring the August 28th lunar eclipse at 5 degrees Pisces in your 10th house of career and reputation. The pull between who you are and how you're seen resurfaces for a second, gentler review. So what it could bring to you. The September 11th new moon may open a fresh start or fresh chapter at home, a move, a family reset, a room claimed as your own, planting a seed that grows for 6 months. Meanwhile, Uranus retrograde keeps jolting your identity and public image, the same restless question resurfacing on and off until February 2027. But let's have a look at the rebalancing act of September. The Sun enters Libra on September 22nd, 23rd on the equinox. This is your 5th house of creativity, romance, and children. And then on September 26th, the Aries full moon meets Neptune in your 11th house of friends and future hopes. Opposite this 5th house, Sun, a dreamy culmination between your heart and your community. The Sun then trines Pluto in your 9th house, and Uranus, that will be the first time on September 28th, so a couple of days later, it will trine Uranus in your 1st house. Flowing empowerment and quiet breakthroughs. So this is what it could bring. The Sun lights up your 5th house for a month of romance, play, and creative spark. The September 26th Aries full moon brings a friendship or shared dream to a head, a culmination that peaks, then releases. Brief Sun trines crack open doors to travel or bold self-expression. Walk through fast, they close within a day or two. So in one line, Gemini, the words you planted in August finally take root. Tend them and watch your voice grow. So do this. Finish and share one piece of writing or one honest conversation you've been putting off. September asks you to tend, not to chase, dear Cancer. Your 2nd house of money and self-worth is where the real growth quietly happens, while your 1st house of self and your 10th house of career trade a little friction early on. So, all month, generous Jupiter, the planet of abundance, luck, and growth, climbs from 13 degrees to 19 degrees Leo through your 2nd house of money, income, and self-worth, pouring luck and expansion into it day after day. What August's solar eclipse planted at 20 degrees Leo was an invisible seed. Now, Jupiter makes it visible, something you can finally see, count, and feel. This is the integration of that eclipse. September grows and steadies what August cracked open in your finances. And Jupiter reaches exact 20 degrees Leo eclipse point on October 6th. So that will be the first crossing. So September is the visible swelling before that October peak. What it could bring you. Jupiter may send a raise, a new client, or a side venture that quietly pays. Even a mentor who values what you are worth. Because this is Jupiter in your money house, it is built to grow, ripening towards its first peak on October 6th rather than fading. Now, September, it's also the month where fire returns to Leo. September opens September 1st with Mars at 13 degrees Cancer. Sorry, let's have a look at this. September 1st. Mars at 13 degrees Cancer in your 1st house, squaring Saturn at 13 degrees Aries in your 10th house. This is a tug of war between what your body wants and what your career demands. Don't force it. Pace it, because then on September 28th, Mars strides into your second house, marching straight towards August's eclipse at 20 degrees Leo. And drive, hunger, and initiative come roaring back into your finances. So, what this can bring you. Around September 1st, your drive collides with the boss, a deadline, or a reputation wall. Push too hard, and you strain your own body. This friction is brief, gone within days. Then on September 28th, Mars fires into your money zone, a surge of earning momentum carrying into October. Now, let's have a look where Venus dives deep this month. Venus warms your fourth house of home and family early on. Softening the nest. Then on September 10th, September 11th, she plunges into Scorpio and your fifth house of creativity, romance, and children. Desire deepens. Play turns passionate. By September 15th, Venus at 3 degrees Scorpio squares Pluto at 3 degrees Aquarius in your eighth house of intimacy and shared resources. A love, a longing, or creative project asks for all of you. Intense but honest. So around September 15th, a flirtation, a creative project, or a child's demand stirs something intense. Jealousy, an intimacy power play, or a stark truth about what you truly desire. The moment passes within a day or two, but if you honor what it reveals, that clarity lasts. Now, let's have a look at our disruptor now. On September 11th, we have first a new moon at 18 degrees Virgo that seeds a fresh start in your third house of the mind, communication, and siblings. A new idea, a conversation, or a short course. That same day, Uranus stations retrograde at 5 degrees Gemini in your 12th house of rest and the inner world, re-squaring August's lunar eclipse at 5 degrees Pisces in your 9th house of belief and the big picture. An old question about what you truly believe or where you're bound resurfaces quietly. So, the September 11th new moon plants a fresh idea, a course, or a sibling recognition, a seed that unfolds over the next 6 months. Meanwhile, Uranus, retreating through your inner world, keeps jolting your beliefs about travel and study. The same theme resurfacing until February 2027. Okay, now let's have a look at the rebalancing act of September, because the Sun enters Libra and your fourth house of home and roots on September 22nd equinox, 22nd, 23rd, calling you inward. On September 26th, a full moon at 3 degrees Aries meets Neptune in your 10th house of career, opposite that 4th house sun. A tender reckoning between public role and private life. Then the Sun trines Pluto in your 8th house And a couple of days later, Uranus in your 12th house. Empowerment and breakthroughs flow to your moment, to you, and the moment you stop pushing. So let's bring it up. As the sun, family zone, and roots, they take center stage all month. The September 26th Aries full moon, Neptune fogging your career, forces a choice between work and home. It peaks, then releases. Brief trine windows, but very strong, very powerful. May deliver a loan or a refund, so act fast. So in one line for you, Cancer. The eclipse seed in your money house is quietly ripening into a harvest. So do this. Name one concrete number, a rate, a savings goal, a price, and claim it out loud. September lets you exhale, Leo. With no eclipses this month, it is time to tend what August planted. And the action lands squarely in your first house of self and your second house of worth. Let's go through it. This month, Jupiter climbs from 13 degrees to 19 degrees Leo through your first house of self, body, and identity, edging toward the 20-degree Leo point where August's solar eclipse landed. What was an invisible seed, a whole new version of you, is now something you can see and feel. Tangible and unmistakably yours. Jupiter, the planet of abundance, luck, and growth, pours all of it straight into your house of self, integrating what August cracked open and swelling it larger all month. This is the visible ripening before the peak. Jupiter reaches the exact 20-degree eclipse point on October 6th, its first crossing of the eclipse point. Let yourself grow into it. So, Jupiter may send you a bolder look, a title, or a mentor who finally sees your worth. Recognition landing on your very name and body. Being Jupiter in your own house, it does not flash and fade. It builds slowly, ripening toward October 6th and beyond into 2027. Now, all month, fire, we have also during September, fire returning to Leo. September opens on friction. September 1st, Mars. Let's have a look at September 1st. Mars at 13 degrees Cancer is in your 12th house of rest and retreat and squares Saturn at 13 degrees Aries in your 9th house of travel, study, and belief. The urge to withdraw grades against a plan out in the wider world. Then, on September 28th, Mars charges into your first house, reigniting that 20-degree Leo eclipse seed with raw drive. Your energy and courage come roaring back to you. So, what can this fire in Leo bring you? Early September, a private exhaustion or a blocked plan, a delayed trip, or a demanding course, a tested belief. This may drain you behind the scenes, but this friction is brief and gone in days. Then, September 28th, Mars enters your sign and courage floods back in. a surge carrying you into October. Now, let's have a look at Venus and where it dives deep for you. Venus sweetened your third house of the mind and communication early on, but on September 10th, it plunges into Scorpio and your fourth house of home, family, and roots. Then on September 15th, it squares Pluto at the 3 degrees Aquarius in your seventh house of partnership. Desire runs deep and a little fierce. A home matter and a close relationship pull up at each other. Say what you truly want without trying to control the outcome. So, what can Venus diving deep into Scorpio can bring? So, Venus warms your home, a room that made beautiful, a family softening, all the roots worth tending. Around September 15th, a partner's intensity collides with it, exposing a struggle over what you truly desire. The clash passes in a day or two. The truth it reveals lasts if you act on it. Now, let's move on to your Uranus. On September 11th, a new moon at 18 degrees Virgo lights your second house of money, income, and self-worth. This is a clean, fresh start with what you earn and value. The same day, Uranus stations retrograde at 5 degrees Gemini in your 11th house of friends and community, resquaring the 5 degrees Pisces eclipse in your 8th house of shared resources and intimacy. This is a tangle of friendship and money shared with someone close that resurfaces for another look. So, the September 11th new moon opens a fresh money chapter, a new income stream, a raise you ask for, a rising sense of your worth. Meanwhile, Uranus keeps jolting a friendship against shared finances or a debt. That new moon seed grows 6 months. The Uranus tension recurs until February 2027. But let's have a look at September's rebalancing act, because on September 22nd, 23rd, depending on your time zone, the Sun enters Libra and your third house of communication. This is the autumn equinox. Then on September 26th, a full moon at 3 degrees Aries conjunct Neptune culminates in your 9th house of the big picture, and it's opposite the Sun. Dreamy insight about what you believe versus what you say. The Sun then trines Pluto in your 7th house, and a couple of days later, Uranus in your 11th. This is empowerment and breakthrough that flow to you through partners and community. So, your mind quickens for a month. Writing, quick trips, sibling, lively connections with the Sun here. The September 26 Aries full moon lifts a travel or study question to a foggy, idealistic peak, then releases it. Brief days also crack open a partner's or friend's door. Walk through fast. The window lasts for a day or two. So, Leo, in one line for you, the fireworks are over. Now you grow the garden. So do this. Pick one concrete way to invest in yourself, your body, your skill, or your income, and begin it before Mars arrives on the 28th. Virgo, September is your integration month. No eclipses now, just growth. The loudest rooms are your 12th house of rest and inner life, where Jupiter swells, and your first house of self, lit by a new moon in your own sign. So let's have a look first at Jupiter. This month, Virgo, your 12th house of rest, retreat, and inner world becomes the loudest quiet room in your chart. Jupiter climbs from 13 degrees to 19 degrees Leo, rising steadily toward the 20-degree Leo point where August's solar eclipse landed. What was an invisible eclipse seed, a dream, a healing, a private knowing planted in the dark, is now something you can see and feel. Jupiter, planet of abundance, luck, and growth, pours both straight into this Leo 12th house all month. This is the integration of the eclipse. September grows what August cracked open, swelling visibly before Jupiter reaches that exact 20-degree point on October 6th. This is the first crossing. So, what it can bring you during September. Jupiter may send a quiet mentor, a healing practice, or a private creative project that you tend alone. A therapist, a dream, a retreat that reopens your inner world. Because this is Jupiter, it grows for months, ripening toward October 6th and into 2027 rather than fading. Okay, now let's have a look. We have fire returning to Leo this month for you on September 1st. Mars is at 13 degrees Cancer in your 11th house of friends and future hopes, and it squares Saturn at 13 degrees Aries, your 8th house of shared resources and intimacy. This is friction between what your community wants and what a private bond or debt demands. Then, on September 28th, Mars enters your 12th house, Leo, reigniting that 20-degree solar eclipse seed with fresh drive. Energy returns to your inner work. So, what can this fire energy into Leo bring you in September? Around September 1st, a friend or group hope collides with a shared money or intimacy knot, a loan or joint plan, someone wanting more than you can give. It stings for days, but then it passes. By September 28th, that fire turns inward, fueling a private push that carries into October. Now, let's have a look at where Venus dives deep this month. Venus, having eased your second house of money and self-worth in early Libra, enters your third house of the mind, communication, and sibling on September 10th, September 11th. Then on September 15th, she squares Pluto at 3 degrees Aquarius in your 6th house of daily work and daily routine. This is intense desire around a conversation, a message, or a work habit. Words carry power now. Use them with care and honesty. So let's see, what can Venus bring you this month? A conversation, a message, or a sibling exchange around September 15 that turns unexpectedly charged. Words that expose a power struggle at work or a habit quietly draining you. The moment passes in a day or two, but the truth it reveals is yours to keep if you act. And now let's have a look at Uranus, because our disruptor here pauses this month. September 11th brings a new moon at 18 degrees Virgo in your first house of self and body, a genuine fresh start for how you show up. The same day, Uranus stations retrograde at 5 degrees Gemini in your 10th house of career and reputation, resquaring August's 5 degrees Pisces lunar eclipse in your 7th house of partnership. A tension between public role and a close relationship resurfaces. Slow down and release rather than react. So, the September 11th new moon in your own sign offers a genuine reboot, a new look, a body reset, a bolder way of showing up. That seed grows 6 months, but Uranus, a retrograde overhead, keeps relighting an old career versus relationship tension that returns in waves until February 2027. Now, let's have a look at the rebalancing act of September. The sun enters your second house of income. On September 22nd, September 23rd. Then on September 26th, we have an Aries full moon conjunct Neptune. It culminates here in your 8th house of shared resources, opposite your 2nd house sun. This is a dreamy reckoning between what's yours and what's shared. The sun trines Pluto in your 6th house and Uranus in your 10th house, sending flowing empowerment through your work and career. So, as the sun lights your income zone this month, money and self-worth take center stage. Around September 26th, a shared resource matter, a debt, a payout, someone else's money, peaks against your earnings, then releases. Then brief lucky windows at work and career open too. So walk through them fast. In one line for you, a rest grows the seed, and the new moon in your own sign lets you begin again. So do this, dear Virgos. Set aside one unhurried hour of solitude near September 11th to name what you're quietly ready to start. The month after August's twin eclipses, with none until February, is your integration month, Libra. Action gathers in your 11th house of friends and future hopes, while the September 22nd equinox and the September 26th Aries full moon light up your 1st and 7th axis of you and your closest relationships. Let's take it one by one. All month, Jupiter climbs from 13 degrees Leo to 19 degrees Leo through your 11th house of friends, community, and future hopes. The very ground where August solar eclipse landed at 20 degrees Leo. What was an invisible eclipse seed is now something you can see and feel. A circle forming, a dream with a pulse. Jupiter, abundance, luck, and growth pours luck and generosity into this house all September. This is the integration of the eclipse. September grows and settles what August cracked open. And on October 6th, Jupiter reaches that exact 20-degree point for the first time. So this month is the visible swelling before October's peak. Say yes to the circle. So Jupiter may send a new circle your way, a networking group, a mentor inside your community, or an invitation into a team building, something bigger than you. Say yes. This is Jupiter, so it ripens slowly, peaking around October 6th and growing into 2027. Okay, now let's have a look, because this month fire returns to Leo, and let's see what that means for you. September opens on September 1st with Mars at 13 degrees Cancer in your 10th house of career, squaring Saturn at 13 degrees Aries in your 7th house of partnership. A real tug between ambition and the loved one's needs. Go slow. Don't force it. Because then, on September 28th, Mars strides into your 11th house, landing near that 20-degree Leo solar eclipse point to reignite the seed Jupiter's been growing. Drive and boldness return to your community life. So, let's see what can bring this Leo fire. Around September 1st, a boss's demand may collide with a partner's needs. A brief, tense squeeze that passes within days. Then, by September 28th, Mars floods your friendship and causes with fresh drive a surge of momentum you carry straight into October. Okay, now let's have a look at where Venus dives deep for you this month. Venus eases through your first house of self early on, softening how you show up. Then on September 10th or 11th, it dives into your second house of money, income, and self-worth. And then on September 15th, she squares Pluto at 3 degrees Aquarius in your 5th house of romance and creativity. This is when desire runs deep and money and love may tangle. Know your worth before you spend or commit. This is powerful, not dangerous. So, what can Venus bring you? A raise request, a pricing decision, or a money talk around September 15th exposes who really holds the power and what you are worth. The friction lasts a day or two, but the truth it reveals about your desire can reshape things lastingly if you act on it. Okay, let's have a look at Uranus. September 11th brings a new moon at 18 degrees Virgo into your quiet 12th house of rest and retreat. A fresh start, best set as a private intention. The same day, Uranus stations retrograde at 5 degrees Gemini in of travel and belief, resquaring the 5 degrees Pisces lunar eclipse in your 6th house of work and health. A wobble in your routine or a big picture question from August resurfaces. Revisit, don't panic. So, the September 11th new moon invites deliberate retreat, rest, therapy. A quiet project began behind the scenes, planting a seed that grows for 6 months. Meanwhile, Uranus retrograde keeps jolting your beliefs and daily health loose. So resurfacing the same restless question until February 2027. But let's have a look at the rebalancing act of September. September 22nd, September 23rd, the Sun enters your first house of self at the equinox. Happy solar season, Libra. Then on September 26th, the Aries full moon conjunct Neptune culminates in your seventh house of partnership, opposite your first. A relationship truth comes into soft focus. Keep the rose tint in check. The Sun then trines Pluto in your fifth house and Uranus in your ninth house. So empowerment and breakthroughs flow easily. You rebalance the me and we scales. So Libra, as the Sun enters your sign, you reemerge, visible and refreshed. The September 26 Aries full moon, lit by foggy Neptune, spotlights a relationship needing honesty, then releases it. Brief trines open flowing doors to romance and travel. Walk through fast, they close within a day or two. So in one line for you, Libra, the eclipse seeds keep growing while you find your footing between self and partner. So do this. Nurture one friendship or community goal that August lit up. Tend it, don't rush it. September is your integration month, Scorpio, and the growth is happening at the very top of your chart. Jupiter swells the career seat in your 10th house all month, while Venus dives into your first house of self, making you both more visible and more magnetic. So let's take it one by one. All month, Jupiter climbs from 13 degrees to 19 degrees Leo through your 10th house of career, reputation, and public role, walking straight towards the 20-degree Leo point where August solar eclipse landed. What was an invisible eclipse seed, a title, a role, a shift in how the world sees you, is now something you can actually see and feel. Jupiter, planet of abundance, luck, and growth, pours both into this Leo house all month long. This is the integration of the eclipse. September growing and integrating what August cracked open. Jupiter reaches that exact 20 degrees eclipse degree on October 6th, its first recrossing. So September is the visible swelling before that October peak. So Jupiter may send a promotion, an influential mentor, or a public project that puts your name on bigger doors. Because this is Jupiter, it does not flash and fade. It builds through the months, ripening past October 6th into 2027. Now, let's have a look at the fire returning to Leo this month. On September 1st, Mars at 13 degrees Cancer in your 9th house of travel and belief squares Saturn at 13 degrees Aries in your 6th house of work and health. This is a tug of war between the big vision and the daily grind. So pace yourself. Then on September 28th, Mars marches into Leo. And your 10th house. reigniting that 20-degree eclipse, solar eclipse seed with pure drive. Your career ambition roars back to life. So on September 1st, a trip, a course, or bold belief collides with a work deadline or a body begging for rest. Friction that flares, then clears within days. By September 28th, Mars fires into your career zone, a surge or drive that carries momentum well into October. Now, let's have a look at where Venus dives deep for you this month. Venus glides through your 12th house of rest and retreat early on, softening your inner world. Then, on September 10th, she enters Scorpio. And your first house of self and body, turning up your magnetism. By September 15th, she squares Pluto at 3 degrees Aquarius in your 4th house of home and family. This is where desire runs deep and power dynamics with loved ones intensify. Want what you want, honestly. So, around September 15th, a look, a purchase, or a charged encounter shows you exactly what and whom you truly want, while a home undercurrent tugs back. The spark passes in a day or two, but the truth it reveals about your worth can reshape everything if you act. Now, let's have a look at our disruptor that pauses this month. The September 11th new moon at 18 degrees Virgo lights your 11th house of friends, community, and future hopes. Plant a fresh intention with your people. That same day, Uranus stations retrograde at 5 degrees Gemini in your 8th house of shared resources and intimacy, resquaring at 5 degrees Pisces lunar eclipse in your 5th house. Resquaring that eclipse. So an old question about creativity, romance, or a child, and who holds the money and power resurfaces for another look. So the September 11th new moon may bring a new friend, a group, or a bold future goal worth committing to. A fresh start that keeps growing for 6 months. Meanwhile, Uranus retrograde keeps jolting your shared money and creative tie, resurfacing the same restless theme until February 2027. But we also have a rebalancing during September. On September 22nd, 23rd, the Sun enters Libra and your 12th house of rest, calling you inward for the equinox. Then the September 26th full moon at 3 degrees Aries meets Neptune in your 6th house of work and health, opposite the 12th house Sun, a dreamy, tender reckoning between doing and resting. So honor your body. Days later, the Sun trines Pluto in your 4th house and Uranus in your 8th house, and empowerment and quiet breakthroughs flow. So, as the Sun slips into your rest and retreat zone, a month of quieter healing begins. The September 26 Aries full moon lights a work or health matter that peaks, then releases. Honor the tiredness. Brief 1-2 days trines open easy doors to family and shared money. Walk through fast. So in one line for you, Scorpio, the seed the eclipse planted in your career sky is quietly, powerfully taking root. So Say a bold yes to one visible opportunity, then guard your rest just as fiercely. September hands you a quieter, richer month, Sagittarius. No eclipses, just the slow work of tending what August seeded. Your ninth house of horizons is the headline, with your ruler Jupiter growing there all month, while a fresh start stirs in your 10th house of career. So let's unpack it. Sagittarius arising. Sun or Moon. Turn toward your ninth house, the realm of travel, study, belief, and the big picture. Jupiter climbs here from 13 degrees to 19 degrees Leo, closing in on the 20-degree Leo point where August's solar eclipse landed. What was once an invisible eclipse seed, it's now visible, tangible, something you can finally see and feel. The planet of abundance, growth, pours its gifts into this house of horizons all month long. This is the integration. September grows and ripens what August cracked open. On October 6th, Jupiter reaches that exact 20-degree eclipse degree for the very first time. So this month is the visible swelling before that October peak. Jupiter in your ninth house may send a study offer, a mentor abroad, or a publishing or teaching door, a scholarship, a podcast, or long trip that expands your world. This is slow Jupiter. It ripens over months toward its October 6th peak. A build, not a flash. Now, let's have a look at the full story. We also have fire returning to Leo this month. September opens on September 1st with Mars. Sorry, apologies. So this is September 1st with Mars at 13 degrees Cancer in your 8th house. Shared money, intimacy. Mars here squares Saturn at 13 degrees Aries in your 5th house, romance, creativity, and children. This is a real tug between what you owe and what you long for. Then, on September 28th, Mars charges into Leo and your 9th house, reigniting that 20-degree solar seed with heat and drive. Your appetite for the horizon roars back. So around September 1st, Mars in your 8th house squares Saturn in your 5th. This is a tense money and desire tug, a blocked joint expense, or a lover who pulls back. That friction is brief, gone in days. By September 28th, Mars enters your 9th house, firing travel and bold plans with momentum in October. Now, let's have a look at Venus and see where this deep dive of Venus lands for you. Venus eases through Libra and your 11th house of friends and community early in September. Then on September 10th, it dives into Scorpio and your 12th house of rest, retreat, and the inner world. On September 15th, she then squares Pluto at 3 degrees Aquarius in your 3rd house of mind and communication, a charged, almost secret intensity in your private life and your words. Guard your quiet. Watch a compulsive conversation. Now, Venus hidden in your 12th house, squaring Pluto in a third near September 15th, brings a sharp private moment, a message, a quiet obsession, a truth about what you truly want. This thing passes in a day or two, but if you name that desire, the shift can last. Now, let's turn our attention to our disruptor that pauses this month. So, September 11th, new moon at 19 degrees Virgo lands in your 10th house of career and public role. This is a clean, fresh start for your reputation and ambitions and career. That very same day, Uranus stations retrograde at 5 degrees Gemini in your 7th house of partnership, resquaring August's 5 degrees Pisces lunar eclipse in your 4th house of home and roots. An old push-pull between a relationship and home resurfaces, not to punish, but to be rebalanced. So the September 11th new moon in your 10th house plants a fresh career seed, a new title, a public role, a boss who notices, and it grows for the next 6 months. Meanwhile, Uranus retrograde keeps jolting a partner versus home tension that resurfaces on and off until February 2027. Now, let's have a look at the rebalancing theme of September. The Sun enters Libra and your 11th house on September 22nd, 23rd equinox, refreshing your friendships and future hopes. On September 26th, the Aries full moon meets Neptune in your 5th house of creativity and romance, opposite that 11th house sun. A dreamy, tender culmination between your heart and your tribe. The sun then trines Pluto in your 3rd house. And then Uranus in your 7th house, pouring quiet empowerment and relationship breakthroughs your way. So the sun enters your 11th house, warming friendships and future dreams for a month. A group, a cause, a new circle. The September 26 Aries full moon with Neptune in your 5th brings a creative or romantic culmination that peaks, then releases. Brief sun trines open fast closing doors. Walk through quickly. So in one line for you, Sagittarius, this is the month your August horizon quietly takes root and starts to green. Do this. Enroll in, book, or say a firm yes to the one adventure your 9th house keeps whispering about. September asks you to tend, not launch, Capricorn. The eclipse seed in your 8th house of shared resources quietly grows. Sorry, Capricorn. Okay, let's see here. So the eclipse seed in your 8th house of shared resources quietly grows, and the month closes on a shimmering 4th to 10th house axis of home and career. Let's unpack it. All month, generous Jupiter, the planet of abundance, luck, and growth, climbs from 13 degrees to 19 degrees Leo through your 8th house of shared resources, intimacy, and deep change, pouring luck and expansion into it as it rises toward the 20-degree Leo point where August's solar eclipse landed. What was an invisible eclipse seed is now something you can see and feel. A joint arrangement, a merge bond, a death resolved. Tangible at last. This is the integration of that eclipse. September grows and integrates what August cracked open. Jupiter first recrosses the exact 20 degrees eclipse degree on October 6th, so this month is the visible swelling peak or before the peak. So, Jupiter may send money through someone else, a partner's raise, an investor's yes, a loan approved, or an inheritance that quietly changes your footing. Because this is Jupiter, it doesn't flash and fade. It ripens over months, first peaking October 6th and building into 2027. Now, this month we also have a fire returning into Leo. September opens with September 1st with friction. On September 1st, Mars at 13 degrees Cancer in your 7th house of partnership squares Saturn at 13 degrees Aries in your 4th house of home and family. A relationship pull tugs against a family duty, so move slowly. Then on September 28th, Mars strides into Leo and your 8th house, landing right on that solar eclipse degree and reigniting the seed with drive and heat. Courage returns to your deepest financial and intimate matters. So, early September, a partner or business ally may collide with a family duty or home repair. You're pulled two ways for a few tense days. Then it pauses. By September 28th, Mars charges into shared money and intimacy, handing you drive that carries into October. Now let's have a look at Venus and where it dives deep for you this month. Venus warms your 10th house of career early in September, softening your public role. On September 10th, Venus plunges into September 10th, 11th, into Scorpio, your 11th house of friends, community, and future hopes. A friendship or group ambition turns magnetic. Then, on September 15th, she squares Pluto at 3 degrees Aquarius in your 2nd house of money and self-worth. Desire meets a question of value. Want deeply, but don't buy your way into belonging. So, a friend or community may delight you this month until September 15th exposes a money or worth power play. Someone wants a loan or asks you to undercharge. The sting lasts a day or two, but the truth it reveals about your worth is yours to keep. Now, let's have a look at our disruptor that pauses this month. September 11th. A new moon at 18 degrees Virgo in your 9th house of travel, study, and belief. A fresh chapter in learning, publishing, or a long journey. The same day, Uranus stations retrograde at 5 degrees Gemini in your 6th house of work and health, re-squaring August's lunar eclipse at 5 degrees Pisces in your 3rd house of mind and communication. A restless question about routine and how you think resurfaces. Revisit it, don't rush it. So, the September 11th new moon may open a door in study, travel, or publishing, a course you enroll in, a trip you book, a belief you adopt, a seed set to grow 6 months. Meanwhile, Uranus keeps rattling your work routine, a theme that resurfaces until February 2027. And now let's look at the rebalancing act of September. On September 22nd, 23rd, depending on the time zone, the Sun enters Libra and your 10th house of career, tipping the equinox toward ambition. September 26th brings a dreamy full moon in Aries, conjunct Neptune in your 4th house of home, opposite that 10th house Sun. So the home versus career balance glows, tender and a little foggy. Yet the Sun also trines Pluto in your 2nd house and Uranus in your 6th house. This is quiet money empowerment and a work breakthrough, steady you. So the Sun lifts your career into focus for a month, a promotion, a title, or a public role within reach. Around September 26th, a home versus work tug peaks, then eases. Brief 1 or 2 day window crack open a raise or a work fix. Walk through fast before they close. So, in one line for you, Capricorn, the eclipse seed in your depths is quietly rooting. Water it. Don't dig it up. Around September 28th, take one concrete step on a shared money or intimacy matter that you've been circling. Let's see how that works. September hands you a quiet, fertile pause after August's eclipse drama, Aquarius. Your 7th house of partnership and your 8th house of deep sharing are where the real growth happens now. So let's unpack it. All month, generous Jupiter, planet of abundance, luck, and growth, climbs from 13 degrees to 19 degrees Leo through your 7th house of partnership and close relationships, walking straight toward the 20-degree Leo point where August's solar eclipse landed. What was an invisible eclipse seed in that relationship house is now something you can seed and feel. A bond expanding, a commitment forming, a bigger yes taking shape. Jupiter pours abundance and luck into your 7th house all month, integrating what August cracked open. It first recrosses that exact 20-degree eclipse point on October 6th, so September is the visible swelling before that October peak. So Jupiter may send a serious partner across your 7th house threshold, a business ally who signs a contract, a beloved who talks commitment, or a collaborator who becomes a fixture. This is Jupiter's slow build, ripening towards its October 6th peak and deepening well into 2027. Now, let's have a look at the whole picture, because we have a fire returning to Leo this September. On September 1st, Mars at 13 degrees Cancer in your 6th house of work, health, and daily routine squares Saturn at 13 degrees Aries in your 3rd house, the mind and communication. This is friction between your to-do list and what you're trying to say or learn. So pace yourself. Then on September 28th, Mars enters your 7th house of Leo, marching toward that 20-degree eclipse and reigniting the partnership seed with fresh drive and desire. So, around September 1st, Mars in your 6th house squares Saturn in your 3rd, a tense deadline, a sharp email, an overloaded work day that strains your nerves and voice. That friction burns off within days. By September 28th, Mars enters your 7th house, firing up a relationship or rivalry with momentum that carries into October. Now, let's have a look at where Venus dives deep for you this month. Venus glides into your 10th house, Scorpio, on September 10th. This is your career, reputation, and public life and role. After easing through your 9th house of travel and belief in early September. Then it squares Pluto at 3 degrees Aquarius in your 1st house of self and identity on September 15th. Ambition turns intense now. A public relationship or work desire stirs deep power. Let it transform you, not consume you. So, Venus in your 10th house polishes your public role. A boss's praise, a visible win, a name that circulates. But September 15th, it squares Pluto in your 1st. So, a sharp day or two flash exposing who really holds power over your image. The moment passes fast. The truth about your worth, if you act on it, lasts. Now, let's have a look at our disruptive that pauses this month. The September 11th new moon at 18 degrees Virgo lights your 8th house, shared resources, intimacy, and deep change. This is a clean, fresh start with shared money or a deeper bond. The same day, Uranus stations retrograde at 5 degrees Gemini in your 5th house. This is creativity and romance. And resquaring the August 28th lunar eclipse at 5 degrees Pisces in your 2nd house of money and self-worth. So an income or self-worth question from the eclipse resurfaces for a rethink. So the September 11th new moon in your 8th plants a lasting 6-month seed, a loan approved, an inheritance, a shared account, or intimacy deepening. Meanwhile, Uranus retrograde in your 5th, resquaring your income point. So a creative or a romantic jolt recurs, surfacing the same question again and again until February 2027. Now, the rebalancing month, the rebalancing theme of September, because the Sun enters your 9th house, Libra, on September 22nd, 23rd, autumn equinox, widening your view. On September 26th, then, a full moon at 3 degrees Aries meets Neptune in your 3rd house, the mind and communication, opposite that 9th house Sun. A dreamy, tender revelation about what you believe. The Sun then trines Pluto in your 1st house and Uranus in your 5th, September 28th, and empowerment and creative breakthroughs flow with ease. So, the Sun in your 9th opens a month-long season of travel, study, or a shifting belief. A trip booked, a course begun. The September 26th Aries full moon with Neptune in your 3rd culminates a foggy communication story, then releases it. Brief Sun Pluto, Sun Uranus trines crack open 1-2 day doors. Walk through them fast. So, in one line for you, Aquarius, the eclipse seed in your partnership house is growing. Water it and watch it. So, do this. Name one honest thing you want from a key relationship out loud. September asks you to integrate, not chase, Pisces. Your sixth house of work and health glows all month while Jupiter grows here. And your seventh house of partnership gets a clean new beginning. Let's unpack it. Jupiter, abundance, luck, and growth itself, now climbs from 13 degrees to 19 degrees Leo through your sixth house of work, health, and daily routine, pouring abundance and luck into that zone all month as it heads for the 20-degree Leo point where August solar eclipse landed. What the eclipse planted as an invisible seed is now something you can see and touch, a real opening in your work, a tangible shift in your body or your daily rhythm. This is the integration of the eclipse. September grows and steadies what August cracked open. Jupiter reaches that 20-degree point on October 6th, the first crossing. So this month is the visible swelling before the peak. So Jupiter may send a job offer, a mentor at work, or a daily health routine that finally clicks. Perhaps a colleague who listens your load. Because this is Jupiter, it grows month over month, ripening towards its October 6th peak, rather than fading with the week. Now, let's have a look at the whole picture. Because, first of all, fire returns to Leo this month. On September 1st, let's go back to September 1st. First, Mars at 13 degrees Cancer in your fifth house of creativity, romance, squares Saturn at 13 degrees Aries in your second house of money and self-worth. A pinch between what you want to make or love and what you can afford. Don't force it. Then, on September 28th, Mars enters Leo, striding into your sixth house to reignite that 20-degree eclipse, Leo eclipse seed with drive and momentum. Energy comes roaring back to your work and body. So, around September 1st, a creative project or a new flirtation collides with money fears, a passion you can't yet afford. That friction burns out within days. Then September 28th floods your work and health zone with Mars drive, a stamina surge carrying you well into October. Now let's have a look at Venus. Venus is your eighth house of intimacy and shared resources early in September. Then on 10th of September, it dives into Scorpio, 10th, 11th, depending on the time zone. It dives into Scorpio. This is your ninth house of travel, study, and belief. Then on September 15th, the squares, Venus squares Pluto at 3 degrees Aquarius in your 12th house of inner world. A powerful, near obsessive pull toward a far place, a big idea, or a truth you can't unsee. Desire runs deep here. Let it teach you rather than rush you. So Venus may bring a trip, a teacher, or a faraway attraction that widens your world until September 15th, when a hidden desire or buried resentment surfaces sharply. The jolt itself lasts only a day or two, yet the truth it reveals endures if you act on it. Now, let's have a look at September 11th. It brings a new moon at 18 degrees Virgo in your 7th house of partnership. A fresh chapter with a significant other or close by or close ally. That same day, Uranus stations a retrograde at 5 degrees Gemini in your 4th house of home and family, re-squaring your August 28 lunar eclipse, which was 5 degrees Pisces in your 1st house of self and identity. So a home or identity question you thought was settled resurfaces for one more honest look. Okay, so the September 11th new moon may open a fresh partnership, a business ally, or a committed relationship, planting a seed that unfolds over 6 months. Meanwhile, Uranus retrograde keeps jolting your home and identity, a restlessness that comes and goes, resurfacing the same question until February 2027. And now let's look at the rebalancing act of September. The Sun enters Libra and your 8th house of shared resources on September 22nd, 23rd. Then the September 26th full moon at 3 degrees Aries conjunct Neptune peaks in your 2nd house of income opposite that 8th house Sun. A dreamy, revealing moment around money you hold versus money you share. The Sun then trines Pluto in your 12th and Uranus in your 4th. Quiet empowerment and gentle breakthroughs at home. So the Sun deepens your focus on shared money and intimacy all month. On September 26th, an Aries full moon peaks. A loan, a payout, or a joint decision comes due, then releases. Brief flowing trines crack open doors around home and rest, so walk through them fast. So Pisces, in one line for you, the seeds August planted don't need chasing now. They need tending, watering, and patience. So pick one work or health habit and repeat it daily until Mars arrives on the 28th to light the fire under it. Here's what I want you to carry out of September. This is the month you tend the seeds. The eclipses did the planting back in August, and now Jupiter is walking back toward that Leo degree, recrossing it on October 6th. So, everything you plant now is the visible swelling before the harvest. What you nurture now is what blooms then. So don't wait, plant with intention and water what matters. And to see exactly where September's transits and Jupiter's growing eclipse blessing land on your planets, come to ivastrology.com. The weekly calendars there are completely free and they will show you your own chart week by week. Haven't watched my 2 eclipses of August deep dive yet? Watch it next. September is where those seeds start to grow, and that video is the soil they were planted in. Now, I want to hear from you, so drop your sign and your rising in the comments and I'll meet you there. If this helped you breathe a little easier, like the video, subscribe, and ring the bell so the next forecast finds you first. Tend your seeds. I will see you in the quiet room.